Buenas noches, amigos. Bienvenidos al Panteón, Lucha Talk with El Nocturno. I want to welcome you to my brand new podcast. This is the very first episode, and where we talk everything lucha libre in all aspects of life, whether it's love, politics, pop culture, and everything in between. If it has to do with lucha libre, we will talk about it. I want to use this first episode to kind of introduce you to El Nocturno. It's his origins, como se dice en español, ¿dónde nació el Nocturno? Where was el Nocturno born? I really want to touch up on that in the first episode. And then throughout the show, I will give you kind of a preview of what this channel is going to be all about. Right off the bat, I hope to have wrestlers and luchadores as guests, but not only that, but also family members, friends, and whoever wants to come and talk on my show, talk about lucha libre, and then we will branch off into other topics. That's kind of what I had in mind about this channel. In no shape, way, or form am I hoping to get rich and famous or blow up, but if it happens, great. If not, I do it for myself. I do it for the fans. Um, so let's get started. Let's get right into it. Where is Nocturno born? How is Nocturno born? El Nocturno was born about 4 years ago. Um, as you know, El Nocturno wrestles for a promotion called Rudos Promotions. It's based here in Minneapolis, St. Paul, the Twin Cities. Best lucha libre promotion in the Twin Cities, I think, in Minnesota, of course. And it's located in Northeast Minneapolis, and it's run by Renegado Estrada. He's wrestler for over 30 years of career, so really well experienced. He trains. He does trainings there. If you're interested, I like to plug in a little promo. If you're interested, please drop me an email, and all the information is going to be in the description below. So we can you can look at it and then send me an email. Many different ways to get a hold of me, many different ways to get a Rudos promotion. So I had to plug in that little advertisement because I hold Rudos promotion in very high regard, and of course Renegado Estrada. So about 4 years ago, um, there was a show, an upcoming show in Mankato, Minnesota. And Rudos Promotions, I believe, has been there for the last 4 or 5 years. And that was the first year that I knew about them there. My friend Levi, who you will hear about a lot during this program, he knew them. He had done referee work for them. And I saw the advertisement. And so I thought it was the Day of the Dead festival. So I thought it was a great chance for the family, my wife and kids, and my parents to go down and enjoy a little bit of culture, Day of the Dead culture. We are Mexican after all. Um, so I gave my wife, hey, why don't we drive down on Friday, stay in a hotel, enjoy the festival Saturday, then drive back. Great idea. So me and my friend Levi, my wife, my two kids, and my parents, we all drive down. We meet at the hotel. My kids are swimming. We're having fun. Next morning, we enjoy the very lackluster breakfast at the hotel, but it was good enough. And my wife, we on our honeymoon, we had bought her ballet folklorico dress. And when I'll tell you a quick story, when we bought it, we go to the San Juan de Dios Mercado, and she knew what she wanted. My wife, if there's something on my wife, she knows what she wants. And we go to these dresses. My cousins take us and my aunt, and we go to the dress section, and the guy, we tell him what we want, and he kind of pulls up these dresses, and she's feeling them, and it's like, no. But what about that one? And she points to this beautiful, huge gown above. It's hanging up. It's kind of like perfect. The light's hitting it just right. And the guy looks at her and in Spanish and goes, "Ah, señorita, esos son para profesionales, los bailarines profesionales. It's for the professional dancers." That's what the guy tells us, right? That dress is for the professionals. And my wife goes, I know what I'm about, right? She's not there to dance professionally, but she's there for that dress in particular. And he gets it down, and you know we buy it. She loves it, and we dress up for Day of the Dead celebration in Mexico. They were trying to replicate it here in Mankato, Minnesota. So she, of course, dresses up, gets all dolled up, looks gorgeous as always. Me and my friend Levi, we put on lucha libre masks that I had bought in my 20s in Mexico. I believe I was the Rayo de Jalisco, and Levi was Nacho Libre. He had a Nacho Libre mask. And we go, and there we are, standing in the crowd, watching this ring. And all of a sudden, I hear Mesa que más aplauda faint in the background. And I remember going, oh, wow, this is a little lackluster. Sorry, Renegado, but it was. I was like, what is going on here? I didn't know who was coming out, who was going in. I believe there was three wrestlers, or maybe four. I remember three. There was Renegado. There was Yakuza, whose music is Mesa que más aplauda. Yakuza and Calaca, I believe, was there. La Calaca. And I remember thinking, where's the referee? No había referee. There was no referee. So they're wrestling, and I don't even know who won because you couldn't tell because there's no referee to ring the bell. And then just like that, it's over. I think there was three matches. I don't really remember which, what was what. But Renegado had charisma. I remember he was interacting with the crowd, saying that's what I like. So Levi kind of had a history there. I think he had refed a couple matches before, and maybe he has gone to a few of their shows. The first time I've ever seen them, and so they're tearing down the ring, and I see this guy who looks like he's in charge because he's bossing everybody around. He's folding up the tarps, and I go up to him and I say, "Hey, are you the owner of the promotion?" He says, "Yes, yes, I own the promotion." Do you train people by any chance? Entrena? Sí, mano. Yes, we do. And he says this, and I quote, I remember. He goes, y ahorita ocupamos luchadores. We need rest. We need luchadores right now. Okay. And I ask him, how much do you charge? And I remember the quote he gave me was a little high. And I remember thinking, Charlie, the boss, la patrona, she's never gonna go for that. So I said, oh well, I'll take down your information. I'll message you later. So I think I add Rudos Promotion. I add him for sure on Facebook, and a few months go by, and I think at that time Levi started training with the academy. So I take Levi to his first academy meeting, and I remember thinking I can do this. And then I found out how much the academy charges, run by Ken Anderson, reputable guy, of course, Mr. Kennedy in WWE. For those of you who are wondering, I'm thinking, oh, I can't afford that. I just bought a house. My daughter, I think, was 1.5 or 2, and there was no way I could have fronted that kind of money to train. So I was content with just taking Levi. And then I remember, wait a minute, I met Renegado. I want to ask him how much he charges again. I knew it was lower than Kennedy. So I sent him a message on Facebook, and wouldn't you know, it's even lower than what he quoted me. I don't know how low. And I said, this is doable. I bring it to the wife. I said, look, this is doable. She says, yeah, I think we could swing that. And I pitch it as it's my dream. And it is, it's true. And we'll get to that later. And so what happens? I text him. I say, hey, I'm ready. I can do it. But I don't follow up. I don't know if he didn't text me back or he did and I just didn't respond. But I don't follow up. A couple months later, he texted me, hey, what gives? Do you still want to train? And I said, oh, yeah, I guess I do. So I said, yeah, yeah, I do. And then he gives, I said, how much is it again? And he gives me another price, even lower than that one, than the one he gave me before. So I'm like, oh, wow. Now this is very doable. So I agreed to that one. I remember choosing a date. Okay, today I'm going to start. He said, come Monday, right? And I remember thinking it's all formal. Mondays is for beginners, Wednesday for beginners, but then at 7, the real professionals come in. Thursdays is for the pros. None of that matters at Rudos. It's whenever you want to go. So I remember going in on a Monday, packed the gym bag, with some tights, some athletic pants and shorts and tennis shoes. I had no knee pads. I had no elbow pads. no wrestling shoes. And I remember when I first dropped Levi off, he had all that. He had all that at Mr. Kennedy. I think he brought out two pairs of wrestling shoes, one white, one black, with matching gear. So I had nothing. I showed up, nothing. And this other guy shows up, is Fritz and Renegado Jr. show up. And then I think Crisi shows up too. And those are the guys I train with. And then Kato Ninja, a guy who used to train there. And we get and I'm getting ahead of myself. So we go, and he says, "Oh, eres Daniel? Sí, mucho gusto." I give him the money, and then he looks at me up and down, and he goes, "¿Así vas a entrenar? ¿O tienes pantalón de entrenar?" I say, "You gonna train like that, or do you have like sweatpants or something?" And I said, "No, no, I have my gear." Also, go get it. So I go, right. I change in my gear, and I'm stretching outside in the hallway, and he goes, "Get in the ring." And I go, "Just like that?" There's no ritual, no bendición, no nothing. Just let's go. And he goes, "You ever been in a ring before?" Yeah, just to set up because I helped Levi set up for MAW a few times. So yeah, of course I've been in there, um, but not to do what I was gonna do. And he kind of chuckles and says, "Well, get in." So I get in, amigos. When I tell you the flood of emotion that came through when I first stepped foot in that ring, it was the beginning of a dream come true. I'll put it that way. It was the first step to achieving a dream that I've had since I was 4 years old. When I first got introduced to lucha libre by my family, and I hadn't even done anything yet. I just knew I liked it. So Renegado changes. Um, he gets up. He was in much better shape back then, physical, health wise. And he said, "This is what we're gonna do." Boom. We start the train, the warm ups, rodadas. Boom, boom, boom. And I don't brag much, but I will brag here. I took to it like a fish to water. Why? Because I was a pretty athletic person, despite the fact that I look like I've eaten tres tortas just tonight. And I technically have been training for this all my life. Now, again, I've been a fan of wrestling and lucha libre since I was 4 years old. I started with Mexican lucha libre when I lived in Mexico. When I went to the Arena Coliseo and some smaller promotions in Mexico, in Guadalajara, Jalisco. And then, of course, time goes by. We move to the States. Um, and I get introduced to American wrestling, kind of sort of the mid 90s, right before the Attitude Era really took off. I started watching wrestling. It was still the big gimmicky stuff. I remember seeing The Undertaker versus Mankind for when they wrestled for the first time, and the Mandible Claw and Undertaker started spewing white things, and the theatrics very different from Lucha Libre. You don't have that sort of theatrics in Lucha Libre. You tell a story with the moves in the ring, not with the storyline. At least that's what the way it was in the 90s and 80s. And then, of course, the Attitude Era hits, and that's where my fandom really took off. Really took off. And from then on, I wanted to be a wrestler. Wanted to be, and that's whether it was practicing jumping off the roof onto a couch, onto cardboard, scaring the neighbors, scaring my parents, multiple ER visits. When my brothers came along, I had training buddies. So in my head, I had been training for that my entire life. And I was very good at the rodadas and the brincos and the this and the that. I was a very athletic guy, believe it or not. And I kept training. When that was done, I wasn't sore. It was the perfect amount of work for me, a guy in my late 30s at the time, where I wasn't going home beat up. Um, it was just the perfect storm of understanding that I'm in my late 30s. I have a family. If I was 21, it would have been a much different story. No responsibility, whatever. I get down, change, get my bag. I go. The first thing I did was call my mom. Absolutely over the moon. You could have, you would have thought I just got on the first date. I just came off of a first date with my wife when we were first dating. It was just extraordinary, the feeling I had. And I said, I'm going to do it again and again and again. You're going to go back. You're going to go back. Yes. I think my wife even asked, so you're going to go back? Absolutely. And I kept going back. I kept going back. I kept going back. Renegado trained me. Um, every now and then he would have guest trainers. We had Postal 13, Crazy Tiger, um, Morgan. Morgan would do some training there. I met awesome guys. My training partners, awesome, right? Everything was feeding right into place. Um, October rolled around. So a year later, after I first seen them at the Day of the Dead show was coming up for that year. And I'd been training and training and training. And I remember thinking, I think I'm ready. I think I'm ready to debut, right? Um, Renegado being the class act he is, he knew I wasn't ready. And it kind of broke my heart. Not to sound sentimental, because a Nocturno is tough. But when you're trying to get to that reach for that brass, ring. Um, he says, "No está listo, mano." I think those were his exact words, and it discouraged me. And that was my own fault. That was in my head. So I think I got a little down for a while. I don't think I went to train for a little bit after that show, and then I decided to kick myself in the gear and go, okay, you got to go back. You got to go back. This is it. This is your chance. So I think in January, I think no, December, I took November off. In December, I started training again. Um, yeah, because I remember seeing Big Mommy. I think Big Mommy came in December, and the other girl, I forgot her name. Um, and I started training again. I was a little part of the show, just kind of helping out the crowd. Things like there was the anniversary show, I believe. So fast forward a little bit to we get closer to February of, I think it was even the following year, I believe. My timeline is all screwed up, but regardless, I train, train, train. We get to February and Renegado. I mean, it's my birthday, so I'm already feeling like maybe I get a good present, right? And Renegado says to us, myself, Crisis, and Kato Ninja, he says, I got a surprise for you guys. I won't tell you, but at the show in February, I'm gonna tell you. And we had just gotten our gear. I believe the guy from that makes it in Mexico had just sent our gear, and I remember thinking, "Oh shit, we're gonna debut. That's it. That's our debut, right?" And I was half right. February comes along. Renegado tells us, "Okay, we have this show. You're not going to debut there in a match, but you're going to make your in-ring debut. I am going to present you to the crowd as my students. I'm going to introduce you to the Rudos Promotion universe as my students, right?" And I said, "Holy shit, that's awesome." We had our gear, we were ready. And he said, "But if you want to debut a match in March, you really got to work on it. We're going to make up a match. I'm going to be partners with Nocturno, and we're going to go up against Crisis and Kato. And it'll be an exhibition match to kind of like, this is what I teach, right? This is my students. And I don't care. I would have taken it. I would have taken it no matter what." So we work on these match. We train, we train, we train. We come up with a good one. Comes the show in February, right? And we're in the back and we're suited. And he goes, "Okay, here's the plan. I'm going to go out. I'm going to say I have my students. They're going to come out here and present themselves one by one. and then Shay Diesel and Bash Bronson are gonna come out and beat you up. And I'm like, your students? They're gonna beat up your students? Didn't make sense to me. No storyline, but I did not argue. I did not care because I was gonna be in the ring in front of people. So he goes out, does a little speech. We come out one by one. Yeah. And somehow Bash Bronson and Bash Bronson and Shay Diesel come out, and they're pretty big guys. And they turn me around. I think they give me a chop, and Bash Bronson picks me up. Boom, choke slams me. I sell. I roll out. Um, they do the same thing to the other guys, I think. And then he says, "Next month, these guys are gonna have their first match." And the crowd cheers, and we kind of raise our hands. We go to the back. Then comes March. We're wrestling. Sorry, we're training, um, and we got our match. And it went from being an exhibition match to being the main event. We were the main event. We couldn't believe it. Me and Renegado versus Kato Ninja and Crisis. So we get there. I got my suitcase. I walk into the back. I see Crisis, and I think we both stop in front of each other and go. I think at the same time we say, "Listo, you ready?" And we both were. Everybody was. I'm nervous. I'm nervous. I'm nervous. I think I say my blood sugar's going down. I send Renegado Jr. at the time. He wasn't Renegado Jr. yet, but Renegado Jr. Goes, and he gets he gets me a Snickers bar or something, a Coke, and I'm still nervous. I'm still nervous, and my guts are kind of bubbling, right? And I don't know if I need to go to the bathroom. I don't need. I don't know if I need to pass gas. I don't know. I don't know if I have to pee. I don't know. Right. All I know is I'm nervous. And one match goes down. Two match goes down. Three match goes down. Intermission. I'm pacing back and forth. I think I go pee like 5 times. Intermission ends. One more match, and then Nars. Here it is. Gato Ninja goes out first. His music hits. And at the time, I think Renegado just got done reffing a match, so he wasn't in his gear. He did a referee job, and so Kato goes out, and we say you have to. He says Renegado tells us to tell Kato you have to milk it. So we tell Kato milk it, and Kato Ninja, I remember, he's running around the ring like a bat out of hell. I don't know how many laps he did around that ring, but he's just running and running and running and running. And then I don't know if a boy intentionally tripped him or he tripped himself on a bottle or something, or a boy was getting up, but he trips on a fan, on something of a fan or a fan themselves. He goes down, boom, and we hear the crowd gonna go, oh, and we can see it in the video. Um, Afterwards, you see where it goes down clear as day. And so he goes up, he does his ninja thing, and then Crisis's music hits, and he was very basic. He walks out, raises his hands. We were very minimal back then. Raises his hands, whatever, goes to the corner, cool. And the Rudos are up. And I'm sitting in Gorilla. I'm pacing. I'm pacing. I'm nervous. I'm nervous. I'm still questioning. Do I have to go to the bathroom? It's too late now, amigo. You are at Gorilla. I can see through the curtain. I can see the people. And then it hits. Vicente Fernandez, Guadalajara. And the crowd pops when they see me go through. They see it's a Nocturno. And the reason I say that, amigos, because I had told people at work that I was doing this. My whole family knew. They didn't know who I was. I never told them, contrary to what Renegado thinks. I never told them who I was. But obviously, with tattoos, it's very hard to hide. So I told a lot of people, and a lot of people went, and I have pictures to prove. And it pops. I pull my hood from my my entrance attire. I pull it up, and I finally see who came. And my family's all over the place. I see my coworkers here, coworkers there, uh, coworkers everywhere. It is packed and it's loud. I can hear my mom yelling. I can hear my brother, my wife. See my wife. She's holding my babies. Um, there's a few signs. I think one of my brothers had a Nocturno so bedwetter. My wife had Me Gustan Los Malos because I'm a Rudo. Uh, my brother Nate, brother-in-law Nate, he kind of had I think he said, I don't know, something. I don't even remember it. My father-in-law says El Nocturno sounds like a venereal disease. uh, so yeah, it was great. It was great, and the feeling, when the adrenaline hits, right? So you don't even know what you feel because the adrenaline is so high that takes over every feeling, and it all goes like that. And so I go and I'm a rudo, so I'm like, yelling at people and hey, what are you looking at? And I think I take my brother's bedwetter sign and I rip it, and I think he still has it because he tapes it every show. And I rip it and throw it to the ground. My other brother has his newborn there, and it says "Kiss my baby," and they're holding him up. You can see it in the video. I go into the ring and I jump over the rope, and my entrance attire flights into my face, and I remember taking it off and like, oh my god, strike number one, right? No one laughs, but still. Um, I do. I get up on the rope, but yeah, everybody. I take off my thing. I throw it at somebody, and it's all good. Renegado comes out, makes his grand entrance, does a little speech, and it's time. Bell rings. I'm working the crowd. If one thing I'm good at, and people make fun of me, my 4 years of theater come into play when it comes to working the crowd and my improv. So I'm working the crowd. Um, Renegado does his sequence with Gato. They go out. My turn. I jump in. Crowd pops, and me and Crisis are ready, and we lock up. Boom, 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 boom. Roll. And then we lock up again, and this time it was the test of strength, and we do it. And amigos, remember I told you I wasn't feeling very good with my tummy, and I was a little gassy. Here's where it comes into play, and I haven't told many people this story, but you get to hear it exclusively on the Lucha Talk podcast. Crisis, we're doing the test of strength. I know Crisis down. I jump up. He hops on and gives me a monkey flip, a changuito, and I flip and hit hard. Boom, big bump. When I tell you that I thought I pooped my pants, I thought the debut of a Nocturno was over right there. I had to come up with a new gimmick because I farted so loud that I thought I pooped my pants. We finish the sequence. I roll out and I don't even know what to do because I don't know whether to check myself, whether to go in the back, whether I don't know, right? Because I didn't know. Was it a gamble and a loss or so I'm kind of like, oh, my back, my butt, and I'm kind of checking and okay, I think I'm okay. I don't feel anything back there. I think I'm good. I get back on the apron. We finish it. We go one fall, two falls is done. And I was just very grateful that the debut of El Nocturno wasn't a Code Brown, a CM Punk or a Yokozuna instance. Um, the match ends. We of course do the job. They go over, and Renegado's blaming me, right? And he takes me over to my family. And he kind of grabs me and says, "Where's your family?" I point him there. We go, and he gives me a few chops. And my lovely wife and my lovely family, instead of being concerned for me that I'm getting my ass kicked, I can see them cheering, and my wife is like, "Yeah, do it again," and he hits me again, and well, that's what it's all about, you know. My parents love it. My wife loves going for that reason. So we kind of go, and he, you know, he gives me one more. I kind of roll on the ground, and he like whatever, and he rolls back, and I kind of get up, raise my hand, and I go back through Gorilla, and I remember seeing Renegado and just giving him a big hug. I give him a huge hug and said, thank you, my friend." And you know, he kind of hugs me back, and I hug Crisis, and we all kind of shake. Thank you for the match; it was great. Um, in February, when we did our in-ring debut, before we were allowed to go out to the ring, they had to do what's called the baptism in the lucha world. That is when all the luchadors on the card that night line up, and you put your chest, and they chop you as hard as they can. Bah, bah, bah. Psicosis, the new Psicosis, was my padrino, my godfather of the baptism, and he, you know, he's the one that gave me the okay to go wrestle according to tradition. Um, and all that was worth it. I remember the line coming in. We got it on video. I still watch it every now and then to get a little cry nostalgia. Was. And then Crisis, and then Kato, and everybody clapping that we did it. And again, fast forward to March. I go back there after hugs. Um, I say, "Hey, can I go out and say hi to my people?" He's like, "Yeah, yeah, go ahead." I go out and I get swarmed. Kids wanting to take pictures, family, friends. And that's how I know that most of the crowd was there for me, because I have the pictures to prove. About 50 people that I knew were there that day. Hasn't haven't hit those numbers since, but that day my debut was there. My very good friend Tony was there. Levi was a referee there, I believe, that day. Um, of course, my wife and kids were there, so it was a great experience to do that and debut. That journey to get to the debut was amazing, and I haven't stopped since. There's been some lulls in my training. There's been some lulls in my shows. Um, Once again, I am 40. I do have a family, so I don't have the liberty to kind of, you know, work shows like a lot of the younger single guys do with no responsibilities, things like that. I know some guys work like every weekend, maybe twice a weekend. Um, I just don't have the liberty, and that's okay. My dream was fulfilled, and that dream of working a match, being able to entertain, being able to say, I'm a luchador, in whatever that means, but being able to say that is one of the greatest honors and a dream come true. Now let's dig a little deeper into the history of El Nocturno. That was kind of like how he was born, how the idea came about. I wanted to be someone dark. The Undertaker, of course, a very big influence um, in my gimmick, because I always liked the mystique, the darkness, the phenom, you know, the paranormal, right? So the Undertaker, a big influence in my gimmick. Um, so that was kind of like where Nocturno. I wanted to go with that, right? El Panteon, right? The cemetery. Undertaker had the cemetery, um, black and gray, very dark skull mask. So that's kind of where I get there, um, and that's where he's born. So let's go a little deeper into the history of the man behind the mask and how he got under the mask. So, as you know, I'm Mexican. I was born in California, and then when I was very young, my mom took me to Mexico to spend some time there. And growing up there, on and off, we from California to Mexico, California to Mexico. One of those times I was taken to La Arena Coliseo to watch, I think it's a Consejo that was there, um, El Consejo Mundial de Lucha Libres, EMLL. And I remember seeing Tinieblas, I think. Tinieblas is one of the notable ones because he was super tall and he has a very distinct mask. And he's one that I remember seeing there for sure. There could have been others, but he's the one I remember seeing. And then other little promotions we went to go see, and then we would watch it on TV on Sundays. And then we moved back to the States. And to give you kind of a background, lower class Mexican American family, immigrant family in California, not the best, not the easiest. So we lived in this is the stories they tell me, two-bedroom house, about 11 people. It was me, my mom, my grandma, my mom's sister, my mom's brother, and my grandma's brother, his wife, and their seven kids. Seven kids. So I had seven uncles and cousins, and none of them more than 17 years older than me. I think the youngest one is only maybe 11 years older than me, maybe. And so I was the first grandbaby, and so I was adored. And I was always a rough kid. So what did I want to do with my uncles? I wanted to wrestle. So they would throw me around, beat me up, wrestle, throw me down the stairs on a piece of wood. They would tie a cape to my neck, and I would be pee pee man. Um, and that's kind of where I got the rough housing part of it, right? Throw me on a couch from up top, desde la tercera cuerda, and I would, throw myself. And we had this thing where we would pants each other, and we would say, "Le quita la máscara," and we would pants each other. So very early on, lucha libre played a huge role in my upbringing. And like I said, through the years, I got introduced to American wrestling, the WWE, the WWF at that time. And right before the Attitude Era, I think I really started getting into it. And then I kind of rocketed during the Attitude Era through my middle school and early high school years, and just kind of fell in love with it. And I think I made a conscious choice at that time that that's what I wanted to be at one point in my life, whether professionally or doing what I do now. Um, so that's kind of the backstory of how El Nocturno, the man behind the mask, got under the mask, right? That the history. Um, a few key figures in my life played a role in me also wanting to be a luchador. Um, some I've mentioned, like my aunts and uncles, los seven enanitos, we call them los siete enanitos, because they're short, kinda. So those seven, especially the males, my uncle Oscar, my uncle Güero, two of the main ones. Of course, my uncle Juan and Marcos, they would also participate. My uncle Chito, my mom's brother, we would all wrestle. Um, I was the only baby for a while, actually. And then my brothers came along, and I had my own wrestling buddies, of course. So notably them. Um, Probably another important one was my grandma, my mom's mom. She knew that I wanted to do something physically, and she would always say, "Mijo, hazte luchador." She would see me wrestle with my cousins and uncles. She would see me jump off things and get hurt and do flips and everything like that on the couches. Hazte luchador, mijo. Entrena para ser luchador. Of course, I was like 11, maybe younger. I didn't know where to start. In Mexico, it probably would have happened, but in the United States, where are you going to start, right? My parents didn't have the resources or the time, so opportunity lost. And around the time of high school, I moved to Minnesota, where I live now, Twin Cities. And I graduated high school. Still kind of liking wrestling. I know there was a group in my high school who used to do like backyard wrestling. It was fun to watch, but I never joined the group. They kind of had the little tight knit group, and at that time, I was kind of fading away from the wrestling. It was right at the end of the Attitude Era, and I missed the beginning of the Ruthless Aggression era, and I kind of started watching again right in the middle of it. if that gives you a sense of a timeline. At that time, I had a girlfriend who just really didn't understand wrestling. She kind of got into it, but not like you think. Um, I think she would like to watch the divas, the costumes and stuff like that. But she never really got into it, never really understood. And I still have posts from Facebook, from that time period, my early 20s, where it says, I don't care how, and this is a direct quote. It says, I don't care how old I am. I still want to be in the WWE. I think I was in my 20s. And that's a direct quote. It still pops up on my memories every now and then. And then time moved on. I met my wife. Um, luckily, she embraces culture very, very well. So she really embraced my Latino culture. So much so that she takes Day of the Dead off as a religious holiday, and I never did as a Mexican. Always thought that was funny. And she's white, by the way. She gave me my two guaritas. Um, and she understands my passion for it, but to a sense of you have other priorities and responsibilities first. I understand it's your passion, and it's a great hobby, but you have other responsibilities first. And Renegado always teases me for that, and Fritz does it for mandilon, mandilon, you're whipped, as he likes to say. Um, but life is life, and that's what it is, right? She has, as Cat Williams said, she has the lady part, she rules the world, amigos. Don't ever forget that. So, notably, but she does let me participate. Of course, she goes to my shows when I tell her early enough. Of course, as long as they don't land on a birthday or something significant, I can go do my shows. I'm doing one this weekend at the Cinco de Mayo celebration at the West Side. So you know, it's for not having the same passion as me about wrestling. Where it's more than a hobby. It's still, very gracious. And she gets into it. She helped me put these on my mask. She will love to design my gear and help me design stuff. So you gotta love it when your partner um, doesn't completely say your thing is stupid, but tries to participate. Um, Another notable person I want to give a shout out to now that we're on the topic is Renegado Estrada himself, and I will always hold him to high regard because he really fulfilled. He allowed me to fulfill my dream, para cumplir mi sueño. Todo fue posible por él. You gave me my chance. You made it affordable. You trained me. You saw something in me. You didn't let me just go out when I wasn't ready. You still push me to go to training to be better, even though it's hard for me to understand that sometimes. But that's why you want me there. Um, you want your students from Rudos Promotions to do great things, and I will always hold you in high regard for that, Renegado, because you gave me my chance. You helped me fulfill my dream, and I will always admire you for that. Y siempre se lo agradezco por darme mi chance y dejarme debutar en su promoción. Y you always talk about loyalty, and you have mine, amigo. You have my loyalty to Rudos Promotions. I will do little promotions every now and then. Um, Other promotions, not little promotions, other promotions in the Twin Cities every now and then. But you have my loyalty, amigo, and that's my way of saying thank you for believing in me and giving me my chance. Fritz, thank you for being a friend. You make my time at Rudos a lot funnier. You and I have become pretty close, and we know since we're both Mexicanos, we could both echar relajo, alburear, you know, and we know it's all fun. So thank you for being there. Big Levi Lee, been my friend since about 2016. If I think literally, if it wasn't for Levi, I don't think none of this would have happened. I never would have been introduced to Rules Promotions. I never would have gone to Mankato. I never would have said, oh, if I didn't see Levi walk into Ken Anderson School, and go, I can do that. I don't think I would have gone um, sought out training like that. So Levi, thank you, amigo. I heard my little bird told me that you are going to debut very, very soon in ring. I won't say what your gimmick is, but amigo, I'm very proud of you. You come a long way. You're a wonderful referee too. So I can't wait to see you perform, man. Tony, el tuerto más guapo. He and I go way back. I think I've known him before he was 21. I remember this because I took him out for his 21st birthday and he had fun. Let's just say he had fun. He survived. And we used to work at a hotel, not going to mention which one. And we used to do some lucha libre things there. And so it's kind of good full circle that he was at my debut show. And I think the very next week he was training with Rudos. So I'm very happy that he was able to do that. That's another thing about Renegado I forgot to mention. Renegado Strada gives everybody opportunity to train, no matter what your condition is, no matter where your level is. He wants to train people. He wants to teach people lucha libre. He understands the tradition. He understands the meaning of the mask. He will teach you the meaning of the mask. His thing is, and I agree with him, just because you put on a mask doesn't make you a luchador. And to call yourself a luchador just because you're wearing a mask you got from Etsy is kind of disrespectful, amigos. So I just want to throw that out there. But Renegado, another shout out to you for giving, you know, uh, people a chance when they want to train. And I know Tony, you've done wonders, amigo. We've done wonders there, and you of course got friends training in there, and you got Rudos promotion in your best interest. And I think Rudo Jesus really appreciates you for that. Renegado appreciates you for that, and I do too. Um, you're a wonderful person. You're amazing, and I hope to have you on the show. I hope to have Renegado on the show, Fritz, Levi. I hope to have you guys on the show, interview you guys. A couple notable mentions, like I said, Apostle Trece. Haven't seen him in a while, but he taught me some cool things. Most recently, Crazy Tiger. Gracias, amigo. I look forward to working with you more. I was always a little apprehensive on your training style, but I know why you did it, and I respect that. But me in my 40s, it wasn't the style for me. So now that we find ourselves in the style, I know you just want to teach me good things, and I believe we're gonna have very good shows. We got actually we I wrestled him this Friday, so sorry, this Saturday at the Cinco de Mayo celebration in the West Side. The shows are the bell is at 1 o'clock on the west side of St. Paul. The Cinco de Mayo celebration, you can't miss it. They do it every year. So I'll be doing an MAW for the first time, MAW match, and I'll be wrestling Crazy Tiger. It's going to be a good one if you can make it. So Tracy, thank you for taking the time and patience to teach all the guys at every level. You really, you're really taken to that. Um, Morgan, Morgan, thank you. Also, I remember seeing you in the ring. You were training for Rudos. It was a Thursday, so you were there, and it was very early on when I met you. And I don't know what to think of you, but you were a good guy. I ignored what everybody else said. No, no, just kidding, amigo. Um, and I had learned sacadas and rodadas and head scissors and all lucha libre. And I know you did wrestling. So when Rudo left one day, I remember telling you, "Hey, please, can you teach me some bumps? I want to take a bump. I want to take a body slam. I want to take a sidewalk slam. I want to know where to post for them. I want to know how to make myself light because I'm a heavy guy. Um, teach me a backdrop, whatever." And he did. And he taught me how to take them, taught me how to give them. He let me do it to him. So, Morgan, you become a very good friend in the industry now. You got me some shows, and I truly appreciate you, amigo. So, thank you. Um, and plenty of others along the way. If I'm missing any, plenty of others. I've really, the people you really meet some genuinely good people. Some not so kind, but luckily I haven't had to work with them or even deal with them. But I hear stories. But the people I've met, the people in the circle I keep now, amazing people, amazing people. They're out for your best interest, out for their best interest, as long as you're out for theirs. So, wonderful independent scene we have here in the Twin Cities. Lots of great promotions. Nothing as good as Rudos Promotions, but yeah, no, Rudos Promotions is amazing. So don't if you haven't seen one of their shows, you gotta go out there. Um, so that's our first episode, amigos. I That was a very brief, let's see, 50-minute introduction to El Nocturno. Um, if you have any questions, amigos, I'm gonna put down my email information in the description. I'm gonna put down if you see behind me here, I got YouTube. Oops, sorry, I have YouTube, Facebook, Twitch. And let me explain something about the Twitch. So my plan is to work with Renegado Estrada and to make a Twitch channel. I know it says Nocturno, but mostly to stream Rudos Promotions, Lucha Libre, uh, specifically my matches. Duh, it's my channel, but also with his permission, stream all of the show. So so you guys can catch it live, and all of this information is gonna be below. Also, I got a new TikTok as well. Never thought I would get TikTok. So the way I like to look at it, I don't have TikTok. El Nocturno has TikTok. So if that makes sense to you guys, TikTok, I think I got it back during COVID when it became big during COVID. I think I got TikTok, and it wasn't it wasn't for me. A lot of people on there just got the platform to spew stupid things. So I got rid of it. But now that's where it's at, right? That's where your promotion is at. So I got it and made a page just for El Nocturno. I've seen the damage it can do to young minds. I work with kids, so never really liked it, but I got it. So I have a YouTube, I have a Facebook, I have a Twitch, Instagram, and TikTok. You can reach me on all those platforms. They're going to be in the description below. Add me, share me. I don't want to get big from this. It's not my goal. My goal is to have fun with this. I want to interview my friends. I want to interview other luchadors, bring you stories from Lucha Libre, bring you stories from the Twin Cities. I know Morgan, you got 1,000 of them, so I'm very excited to have you on my show. Renegado, I'm sure you have un millón de historias. One other thing, this show is going to be bilingual, as I've been speaking back and forth in Spanish. I do have fans in Mexico, believe it or not. My tía, mi mejor amigo Mar, saludos, saludos. So I do have fans in Mexico, so this will be a bilingual show. Um, Other than that, any questions, don't be afraid to ask. Amigos, I am in Nocturno. Muy buenas noches. I will see you in episode 2. Hopefully, I have a guest. My planned guest is none other than Levi. Levi, I've told him he was going to be my second show. He's going to be my first guest. So hopefully we can get Levi on here. And whatever we want to talk about, we're going to talk about it. Okay, amigos, buenas noches. We'll see you in the next one.